All right, good. Okay. So, as for our agenda here, I just want to, like I said, we will explore IFS, and I know there are a couple of people that have shared that they haven't really engaged in IFS much before. So I'll try to keep it very, very simple for our own understanding and for our own participation here. And we will be practicing some self-awareness and compassion. And so hopefully that, that all your parts are prepared for that. And so I will say words like parts during our session today, which you can translate it to mean your thoughts, um, things that come up in any way internally, and sometimes even just your sensations in your body can be also different parts of you that are participating or engaging with you. So just that awareness of that language. Okay. All right. So self-love, we usually simplify this a lot when we are talking, but when we're talking about self-love, it's really a little bit complicated concept. And I'll share about, four components of self-love. One of them being self-awareness, which we are going to be practicing that today. Self-awareness is just about being aware of your feelings, your motivations, your desires, just your full character, being aware of that. And then self-care. Self-care is about being able to take action to take care of yourself, improve your own health. Self-care is very useful during stressful periods, especially because that's when you need to know some of the things that can help you fill your cup. I talk about with the people I work with, I usually talk about not pouring from an empty cup, you know. And so sometimes we try to help others, but how full is your cup? Is your cup empty? Do you need to refill your cup? And so there are some things that you can do to help fill your cup. And then there's a concept of self-trust within self-love, which means that you are aware of your inner strengths and you are able to use them, in a way that you you are you can benefit and you are able to rely on those. So that is a concept of self-trust within self-love. And then the last one is self-worth, having a good internal sense of being good enough. For example, being here today, hopefully you feel deserving to be here and deserving to be with all of you. And so that is the concept of self-love. So there is a quote that I've shared there from Buddha. Um, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. And so you deserve that first. All right, so just about internal family systems. Dr. Richard Swartz is the founder of IFS, which stands for Internal Family Systems. It is an approach that postulates that the mind is made up of multiple parts. Okay. And so there are many different models that, agree with that in different ways. And so some of the ways that we can notice that we are made up of different parts is how we are able to be to be different in many situations. And I'll make an example like so, right now, I'm probably blended with my teaching part or my training part, so and if you know me in different settings, you will notice that you are seeing a different part of me. And so we are different in different settings. And so Dick basically he started working as a family therapist. He worked with families, and if you've ever been aware of how family systems work, a family system, I mean, we're all part of families, and you know that in your family, there are people who have different roles. Uh, you have the peacekeeper, you have somebody that is you know, maybe holds the family together. You have people that are, scapegoats or different kind of things that you play. You can think of your own role in your family. What type of role do you play? And there are people that are just silent, or they are more going with the flow of everything that's going on in the family without doing anything. And that can be really frustrating at times. But a family system, so I will talk about a little bit about Richard, what he usually shares. He's also called Dick, so that's normally that's what we call him. And so he kind of said that when he was working with families, he started noticing that the same family systems that exist in a family also exist within a person, that we have parts of ourselves that are playing different roles at different times. And so he started listening to the people he was working with and noticed that they all kind of have different parts of themselves. And he started noticing that about himself as well, that he has different parts. And so he started to kind of get ready to, conduct therapy with people in a way where he is addressing these parts of the people inside of them. And so, and he found good results in helping, for example, a person form a relationship with a part of themselves. And so, yeah, so he started to do this, and it was exciting and successful. And so he started, calling it internal family systems. So that's just a little background about, where this is coming from. Um, so the very core of IFS, like I said, views the mind as being made up of multiple parts. I've worked with people, sometimes they tell me, uh, I am so organized at work, you know, but I am not so organized at home. And so there is a part that is sort of sees the higher stakes of being organized at home at work and not being so organized at home. And you may have noticed this in your own self when you're trying to make a decision and you feel like there's a part of you that wants to do something, but that there's another part, maybe a part of you that wants to go to a party, and another part that wants to stay home and relax. And so sometimes you find yourself kind of like having to make decisions because you have different parts, that want different things. And so, so yeah, so you are not really, so when we have that, it's not that you are inconsistent, or, you are not, you don't know fully what you are, but if you start thinking of yourself actually as having those different parts, it kind of changes everything, because then you can start to sort of listen. two parts of yourself. Okay. Now I'll give you some, there's some sort of everyday examples here. Um, like for example, you can, can be a mother, a daughter, a church leader, and a professional, and all of those different things may actually bring out the different parts of you. When you're a daughter, you're different. Someone said to me the other day, um, they when they are speaking with their mom, they kind of require a different thing. Maybe they're able to be more vulnerable than they would be with other people. So meaning that when they're with their mother, the more vulnerable parts of them are present. So yeah, every role kind of draws out different yous, that you may have been aware of. Um, okay. So yeah, as I said, you'll hear me talk about parts, and we understand parts as almost like sub-personalities, you know, or that carry different beliefs or emotions. And so sometimes you may say to yourself, I don't know what got me through that difficult time. You may think of a time when you had to handle something complex or difficult, and you can reflect on, wow, I got through this by doing XYZ. And so that would be a different part of you. Okay. So parts kind of come out, or we are born with them. We are born with parts because that's the mind. That's how it is. And so in through life experiences, these parts of you kind of learn to help you cope or to protect you from certain things. Different depending on people's experiences. I was telling somebody the other day, that um, trauma changes your mind completely, right? Now, what happens if you experience an unpleasant thing is that your entire view of your environment or your world changes, which really literally changes your mind, meaning that it changes the way your parts react to the world, and so parts that you're born with get into these extreme roles, and all in the service of helping you survive. Um, and so that is really the goal of most parts, is to help you survive. And that is why we say that there are no, all parts have good intentions. There are no bad parts if you think about it. Even the part of you that gets angry at something or at people or pushes people away or makes you isolate, um, or silences you in different moments, is actually doing that in the service of some good intention that it has. And once, you know, as I've been working with people using IFS, it's been really amazing to help people listen to those parts and hear them out instead of pushing them down, because that's really usually how we react, is just like not wanting to have that experience. So it's really been life changing to kind of help people listen to that part and see what it has to say. So, all right, so I'll get into just talking about three types of parts that we have. So when Dick was doing this work, he realized that there is something we call an internal map. So if you focus inside, you'll meet these parts. Like, everyone has them. They may be different in how they manifest, how strong they are, how developed they are. You know, they may be young, they may be, uh, most of them are young, and some of them are not young, so not all of them are young. So you can think of this as an internal map, like a map inside of you, a map of emotions or so. And so there's three types that I'm going to talk about. One of them we call the exile. Exile is the name really comes from the fact that exiles are usually kind of pushed down, meaning that they are exiled, hidden away, hidden away. I always think of a closet. A closet comes up for me when I think of exiles. It's like, they're hidden away. Um, and so they hold a lot of pain, a lot of fear, shame. And so they are often younger and vulnerable. And so this exile parts normally in an IFS exercise need to be, drawn out in a very, delicate way, through a process we call unburdening, because they hold a lot of pain and sometimes a lot of fear. Um, and so depending on, so normally you need a professional or somebody, who's trained to help you with an exile. So even during today, if you do have some part that feels like it's an exile, so usually we ask you not to work with that part in our exercises that we're going to do today. And then you have, the second parts, which there are two of them. There are two types of parts, which are protectors. These are the parts that so I'll speak. So both of them see, they work hard to keep you from feeling any pain, Um, so there's one of them is called the manager. Now, the manager, you can imagine, is somebody that, or a part of you that is more organized, and it's proactive. We call it proactive because it's kind of the one that shows up on a day-to-day basis. If you have something to execute, something that you are, having to do, this is a manager part that keeps you on track. It keeps you on schedule and really keeps you safe and functioning, helps you to show up. And an example of a manager part would be maybe, I don't like naming parts that much, but people normally will relate with something that is like a perfectionist part, or a people pleaser part, right? A people pleaser part is a part that, just to ensure that everything goes according to plan and that you are safe, will try to, you know, engage by, making sure that they are scanning for people's needs and sort of being the one that um, make sure people are happy, and so those types of people, um, caregiving is also a part and so forth. So that's a protector. A protector makes sure that things are running smoothly, that everything goes according to plan. That's a manager part. And so then we have the second type of protector, which is a firefighter. Um, and, I've seen that, there's really no other, firefighters, if you are aware of firefighters, when they come in, it means that the damage has been done already, meaning that, the emotions that the manager have tried not to have come up at all, because the manager part is working hard to make sure that, nothing goes wrong. But a firefighter comes in when a manager has not managed to make that happen, that despite the efforts of the managers, these tough emotions have come up. Okay. And that's when you'll see sort of behaviors such as, addictions, will be some of the things that you'll see: numbing, distractions, some, dissociations sometimes can be a firefighter coming in to take you out of the situation. So in any way that it can. Yeah, a firefighter will do anything, even if it means just taking you away for some time, from the situation. A firefighter doesn't really, think about the damage that will be done, because they're trying to put off a fire. So the fire is there already. And so these are they're both protective, because both of them are, you know, reacting, or I mean, a firefighter is only reactive. Both of them are trying to protect you from feeling any unpleasant situations. But like I said, a firefighter comes in when already the tough emotions are out. Everything is there. And so that's why they have to kind of come in and control the situation. Okay. Um, so there is another, uh, part of IFS, which is called the self. Now, in all of the things that we have discussed, the self is actually pretty interesting. It is a part of our make, and everyone has this part. No matter who they are, it might be that the self doesn't show up, or is not there, or is really overpowered, I would say, by the managers or the firefighters, behaviors that you may see. But everyone has a self, and self is not a part. It's more of like a sort of a leader of your system. You may have experienced this self part if you've ever had a thought like, you look back on a situation where you reacted a certain way, and you kind of feel like, ooh, either you feel some compassion towards the people, or that you were, that had to receive that from you, or you feel also compassion for yourself, right? So like you're like, wow, that was uh I wonder what made me do that, or what really was it that got me to that level. Okay. And so as Dick was doing this work, he realized that the self actually has the ability to heal other parts through this process of engaging with a part of themselves, a part of another part that, maybe somebody dealing with an addiction, which, I have worked with people that dealing with this. Normally they do say that something takes over, right? So it's almost like an impulsive part, and it's usually kind of like a young part that really wants to kind of help, very, very quickly. And so when they are in a different mind, so to speak, then they are able to say, yeah, I really don't know, I'm not sure how to overcome that, I don't want to do that, but I end up doing it. And so the self has what we call the 8 C's in its quality. Okay. Um, it has a sense of, if you've ever felt this sense of calmness, where you can be curious, you can have some compassion, you can have some courage, clarity, you can feel confident. These are the sort of like the adjectives that describe yourself when you are in your true self, when you are in that when you're engaging with yourself in your true self. Okay. And so these C's, these three C's, if I was working with somebody, um, I would help them access this through, a process called unblending, which I'll talk about in a second. And so, helping somebody to be able to access this, because sometimes even when you have those parts that you don't like within yourself, because you're so blended with them, you think they are a true make of you, you can struggle to actually access this true self, right? And so, if I was helping somebody access this, um, I may kind of take them through a process of unblending, which we will experience some of that in our experiential, which is, exciting. And so I want to kind of bring in the concept of blending. So blending occurs when you feel like you are the part, like you are that part of you, instead of like, you are this is you and this is the part. You kind of blended with it, so you are fused. You may hear people who are blended say something like, I am I am angry, you know, meaning that they are the angry part, you know. So if you're able to observe, you're able to observe a part of you, meaning that you are in that state of evaluation, or almost like observing what happened, then you are kind of, accessing that, and, being in unblended from your this part of you that you are curious about, you know. And so curiosity is such a nice thing, because you can be curious about it in a very non-judgmental way, you know, and sort of observe and be able to engage with that. Okay. Being able to unblend from your parts is one of the most important things in the IFS process, because you want to be able to, work with or form a relationship with a part of you, instead of being being that, And sometimes this can be very hard when people have very difficult parts, or parts that are hurt, um, parts that or maybe if there's a part that dominates so much that it has made you to believe that you are that part, that it's a in a very judgmental way, and so it can be hard for people to you know um, to unblend from parts. Okay. Sometimes I'll give an example of somebody that I worked with, and I was helping them, with a problem where they had experienced over and over in their childhood not being heard or being made fun of if they express themselves, um, by their parent, one of their parents. And this became really more, it wasn't a problem until they got to the workplace, and they are in a position where they have to hold important meetings, and express themselves in a work setting. And so this person realized that they really struggle and get really nervous, right? They have a lot of anxiety when they have to always present or they have to speak, you know, to the point where they get really paralyzed. And so it was really interesting when we were able to meet this silencing part of them, where it really, came back to that time when they were home, because our homes usually where we grow up, our childhood experiences is when we um, first form our social group. Your family is your first social group. That's where you uh,
Absolutely.
you first learn to socialize, in that. And so it turned out that the boardroom so much represents for them without them consciously knowing the setting of that first social group, like really just the dining room table, the dinner table, where anytime they were trying to express themselves, they were met with a lot of negativity. And so we worked with this part, and through working with it, sometimes if you notice a part of you that is like that, you can help, prepare yourself for situations where you will meet up with that part. So we worked together slowly, and eventually they were able to notice that that silencing part is actually agreeing not to be active during those times. And so we worked on that and we unburdened it a little bit. So it's pretty interesting when you are able to notice being blended with a part and actually being able to unblend, which an unblending or being unblended is a process where you notice your part almost coming to take over, and you're able to kind of like ask for permission for that part to let you be present, to let you be engaged in there and not take you out. Okay. So, all right. So, why does IFS matter? It's like Mark said, some of you may have missed this, but IFS is really, even for me, has been really instrumental in helping, in very complex situations or inner conflicts that you may experience. It helps to explain that in a way that is very loving to yourself, because honestly, we are not able to show up for anyone or any situation if we haven't met our own difficult parts, right? So our own difficult, inner complexes. So it teaches us to heal, and be open to almost listening to ourselves, and in a way that you can engage with yourself and heal parts of you. Okay. So I would like to emphasize, even if you, in listening to this presentation, you have some parts of you that you have identified, that there are no bad parts at all. Even the most, I've seen like some of, the most, the part that you probably is not your favorite has a very good reason, a very um, understandable reason why it is at that why it's doing what it's doing. It's always that explanation. Okay. And so understanding self-love through the lens of IFS. Yeah, and you've all heard this simplified thing, like, love yourself before you love others. Um, and so sometimes we skip that. We love, we try to love others, and then we don't love ourselves. Or we neglect, I guess, abandon ourselves, so being able to, when you start to meet your own parts, you can actually notice parts of other people that are not, that don't make you feel good either. And you can start having some compassion for that part, because maybe that part of that other person is also working to help that person in a different way, so it kind of changes you a little bit. um, and so before anything, I would, we're gonna take a break, but I would like us, before we take this break, maybe for a few minutes, um, see if you can reflect on parts of you that show up often. I didn't ask you to do this before, but if you have something to write on, see if you can jot down which parts of you show up the most, which ones also showed up today. Which ones don't you like very much? And maybe even like, what do you think they're trying to protect? And if anyone would like to ask a question, has something that they want to ask about the presentation so far, before we take a break, we can do that.
Melissa, I'd like to ask,
Okay.
The statement earlier that all parts have good intentions. Really? Is what I wrote. Made a note and I wrote, really? And then I'm thinking about um I don't know. I'm thinking of things that I don't think fit that. Like, for example, at times I have a procrastinator part, and I don't see how that has good intentions. And I understand, I thought could that be trying to protect something? Just can't think. So I'm not asking you to deal with that particular thing, but I'm just wondering, so it's one of the beliefs about this is that all parts have good intentions, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. It would be interesting to engage with that one and find out and just ask.
Yeah, there's a part of me that wants to jump in right away and say, Diane, let me
Yes.
walk you through this in 2 minutes during the break if you want to stay, and we can actually show and demonstrate to see what its actually intentions might be. But that's up to you. So it's always interesting to ask. You can just ask the questions, and yeah, if Pelessa, I don't know if during our break, are we going to be taking our break now?
Yeah, we're gonna take a break. And yeah, yeah, it is interesting, Diane. I think maybe during our meditation you can work with this part.
Yeah. Yeah. I think to me, it's something I should um, sit with or be with during this workshop to try to see
Or I
to,
and I
rather than do something with it right now. I know you want to jump in,
yeah.
Mark,
No.
uh, but in
No.
my experience of stuff like this, it's often more meaningful if I work it out myself.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things is I actually have different tools to show and demonstrate, and procrastination is a very good example of. And the reason for doing that is just a very good example of most people there's normally good reason, and in a couple sessions or minutes, one of the things I would ask you to do would be to pretend there's a good exercise that's not an IFS exercise, but one in which I use to help people to quickly try to find out what's going on. And it's just to role play, just to pretend to ask, and you can actually do it. Just ask
Mhm.
that part of you, what's its, and it is IFS, but just asking what's its intention, why it's actually trying to do what it's
Yeah.
doing. And if you just ask that question to that part and just listen to see what it says. The important thing though is what we talked about was on blending, which is you need to be able to have that be in a frame where you can actually be on blended from that part. And there's also a part of you that I can see is actually judging that part already. And so you're going to have to ask that part to be quiet also. So, to the extent that you can actually move away your judge and also just be in the frame where you can actually listen, you may be able to
Mhm.
get an answer very quickly. All right. Are we going to a break
Yeah,
now?
I think
Yeah.
Fumni has a question too. She has a hand
Sure.
up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, we talked about the manager and the firefighter. So, when there is like a conflict, there is a part of you that wants to protect you from the hurt or the pain, and there is a part of you that wants to manage the situation. So, how do you resolve this conflict between the manager and the firefighter part of you?
Um, yeah, there is sometimes a conflict between because the most obvious conflict between the firefighter and the manager is that the manager wants to prevent anything from coming up in the first place. And usually managers really don't want they work hard not to have the firefighter part of you, the protector, to come up at all. But once, normally once the managers have not managed to make sure, then the firefighter is coming out, you know. And so to your question, how do you resolve this? Honestly, if you're working with, somebody that can help you sort of get to the point of engaging, forming a relationship with these parts through the part of you that we call the self. It's when you can start seeing, I've seen that even the most conflicting parts, once they listen to each other, parts sometimes don't see each other very much. They really don't get a time to like engage. And so once you start to engage those parts, and I do an exercise with people where we sit around the round table with these parts and negotiate or help them see each other, even get to the point of working together instead of, conflicting. So yeah, there is ways to work with conflicting parts for me. It's very interesting, and it is a relief, I guess, inside when you can get to the point of working with those conflicting parts.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, so let's take our break. Right, let's take a small break.
It's 10:05 now, and if we back at 10:10, that'd be terrific.
Yeah, that would be terrific. Then we can have time to have
And
some fun.
we'll be signing you for breakout rooms in that time period, which are done. And so when we come back at 10:10, we'll see
Yeah,
you.
try not to leave your Zoom. So yeah,
Just leave your Zoom on for the
leave
5
your Zoom
minutes.
on and just mute if you want.
Plus, I've assigned, there are actually 9 people, and then I've assigned 3 each in each room. Is that okay?
Yeah, 3 each is fine. Yeah.
Just be right back also. So it's 10 after the hour, and I just asked just to make sure that if you're here, if you just turn on your camera so that we can actually know you're here back. I see, I think there's 3 people that are not here. We'll just wait. Placid, will you then, Nancy's back and we're just waiting for, I don't think iPhone was ever on, but THA is saying, are you back?
Tabby saying,
Tabby sent. There you go.
yeah. That's what Tabby saying. I don't know if she seems back.
Okay.
She
All
just
right.
unmuted.
I think and iPhone was never on. I guess so one person has dropped. I'm not quite sure who was dropped off completely. So we're left with 8 people, 2 in 1 room, and 2 in 3 rooms. If that's okay, Alessa?
Yeah, that's okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, so this hour or this minutes that we have, is there something in the chat, Mark?
iPhone,
There is
iPhone said,
one. I says, yeah, iPhone is here. She's back.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
he or she's back, iPhone.
Okay. All right. All right, just for our practice here today, and I'm not sure if anyone here has any experience with meditation. Some of you do. Just, make sure you create a kind space for yourself. Like if you need anything, remember your choice points during a meditation. You always have choices. Do what's comfortable. There will be some silence, but just remember we are here together, even in those silences, and you will be focusing inside. And so take a moment to be comfortable in your seat, however you want to be. Notice your breath. If that helps you, take a deep breath. And just be here in your deserving time. Allow your body to settle. If you have any parts of your body that don't seem like yourself, just notice and acknowledge them without any judgment. And just see if you can breathe a sense of the spirit of love in that area. Try to engage with the part or the parts that you have met in this session, that you have engaged with. And in your mind's eye, try to imagine a path. It could be a path that you've taken before, or it could be a path in your imagination. Try to imagine yourself in that, about to take that path. And don't take it yet. Just stay in the beginning of it. And take a moment to notice parts of you that are with you. Acknowledge each one. And at this time, let your parts know that there won't be any decisions that are made during this experience, that you will just be listening to them and acknowledging them, but that there won't be any major decisions that are made. Nothing is going to change. And see how they react to that. Once you feel some shift, get ready to take this path while you engage with a part that you are curious about, that you got curious about during this presentation. And if there are any other parts that are there, let them know that although you're starting with this one, that you will engage them as well. That everyone is important. And try to maintain some level of curiosity while you engage with this part that you're curious about. And start your journey with this part. Ask some questions like, when do you come in? What made you take on this role? And just listen. In other words, why are you here? What do you do for me? If any other parts come in other words, if you feel anything that is not curious or neutral feeling, ask them to wait for you at the beginning of the path. Ask that part that's coming in to just give you space to be with this one. If other parts are coming along on the path but not interrupting, that's okay. Continue hearing from this one. And you may ask your own questions too. Remember, you're just listening and acknowledging whatever you hear. And respond from a place of understanding and being neutral in whatever way feels natural to you. And once if you get to the point where you feel like you've heard from this part, try to relay a spirit of gratitude for whatever it's shared with you. And at this point, if there's any other parts that are there that would like for you to listen as well, see if you can make a little space for that. And see if you can also be able to come to some agreement, you don't have to, that you will engage with them in this way sometimes. That you will take moments to just do this, listen to your parts, and acknowledge their presence. Take a moment to express gratitude to all of your parts for allowing you to be present. and to be here. And at this time, see if your parts will let you take this path by yourself. Let them know you will be back, and that you're going to take a minute to just be on this path by yourself. If they won't let you, be okay with that. But if they're able to let you go by yourself, notice how it feels. If you have parts that won't let you take the path by yourself, just stay curious and be curious about why they won't let you go. Get to know why. And once that feels complete, thank your parts for allowing you to be in this experience and invite them back. Take a few breaths if that helps you come back. Yeah, and whenever you're ready, come back with us into the room. And at this time, Mark, are we ready with the breakout rooms?
Yeah. How long is the breakout room session for, Palesa?
Um, Let me look at the time. So I
You have
think 10
30 minutes.
minutes. Huh?
10 minutes? Yeah.
Yeah, 10
Okay,
minutes.
great.
Yeah.
Okay, so
10
you can
minutes.
just,
So in the breakout room, if you can share your experience with the people that you're connected with, whatever level of sharing, and then we'll come back together to share in the big group, whatever you want to share in the big group.
okay.
All right, for that one than this one. But
Oh, wow.
Oh,
yeah, it was really a good success. And people said, do it again, do it again. So, I said, okay, I'll do it before I leave. Yeah.
Oh, you will be on leave.
I'm leaving for Rwanda. This is for Rwanda, remember?
Oh, okay,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, I told
Yeah.
you about that. Remember, you were the first one to know
Yeah,
when I came to your
yeah,
house.
I know. I didn't, okay, I think then it was last year when I
I don't know.
contacted
Which year
someone.
was it when I came to you? It wasn't last year. It was the year before, I think. It was like 2023? 2023 when I came to you.
It's 2023
Oh,
because I came
okay.
to you 2024.
yeah,
Why are
exactly.
they
It was
Oh,
not?
really?
2023.
We've been robbed.
Okay,
Oh my
hopefully we're all
God.
back.
Yeah,
So long
everybody's
time
back.
then.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right. So yeah, I hope everybody had a good experience talking. So this time maybe we can share in our group here.
Vale.
Share our experience.
Okay.
There.
okay, Diane. Oh,
All
let's go with
right.
Diane
So
first.
I had a little insight into procrastination because as I said, I don't procrastinate about everything. In fact, quite the opposite at times. But the insight that I had was that when there is a clear objective goal or product that I must accomplish, I don't procrastinate. I might work on it like something's due tomorrow, for example. I've been working on for a couple of weeks with different ideas and I haven't procrastinated at all regarding that. A different kind of task I realize, or a different kind of thing, more longer range and sort of unknown. I don't know what the result will be. That's something I'm procrastinating about because I don't know what the result will be. That is a little insight that I had. So thus, I'm busy working on all the things that have deadlines or products or things that I know, whatever, all that kind of stuff that's more clear cut. But the unknown thing, like where am I going to move to if I sell my house? I haven't done one single thing to act on that, except listen to other people, what other people have said to me about what I ought to do, which I'm rejecting, of course. What other people are telling me about that. Anyway, that was the insight that I had. It was good. It was a good thing to clear up.
Great,
Yeah.
great. Thanks, Diane. And you can ask the next question as you're listening to others. As how do you feel about that, and how does your procrastinator feel to have been listened to? Anyone else would like to share? I can't see.
Hello?
Yes, Lindile.
Yes. Yeah, in our small room, we've shared a lot. For me, it was an eye-opener because I've never done a meditation actually. So for me, the time we had that moment, that plus minus 30 minutes, and trying to detach everything that is connecting with my mind that occupy me, that is not useful to me. But on our chatting there, I was just sharing in terms of this part of self-care that we, in fact, I haven't taken into consideration that like I've been giving, but then now whom do I pour out as well so that somebody can listen to me? So as a therapist, because I was indicating that, when you meet clients, they come up with their expectation that like, you must just give them answers all the time. But then now, what happened to you as a person And then also for me, I found that it was like it is a good platform for me because for the first time I'm getting to this part of platform, and then able to just to share about myself instead of like always we're talking about how to help, but now it is about how can I help myself in this instance. So I am looking forward in such kind of chat like this one, because for me, yeah, I feel somehow some sort of like I've detached something from my mind. At least my mind is some sort of clear, but then I believe that it's not something that must be a once off, but I must continue practicing so that I can give myself more chance to energize myself instead of giving without recharging myself.
Thank you, Lindile. Thank you for
And
sharing.
I would like to have, like, we have a takeaway line that says that we should make time for this every single day. Like, connects to all the internal family system inside of you every day. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, for me, yeah, definitely. You know, once you get used to IFS, taking a moment to connect with yourself, like usually for me, mornings are a good time to check in about like with myself, like what what is important today, what is there today, who needs what, especially as a therapist, I have to always I like this line from Dick. He says he always tells his parts like to allow him to be present. And so I usually kind of have to ask my parts to wait, uh, and be not in the driver's seat. And actually I would like to share that I have a helper part, that wants to help. And I learned this very I learned this during my work, that my helper part I thought was almost like me. It was me. I thought it was me. I thought it was my true self. And I discovered that my helper part is actually not my true self. My helper part wants to help even when I'm working, but it's sometimes it really has an agenda, has an agenda which can sometimes be almost Armstronging somebody to help them. And then I realized that, oh, this is a part as well, and I need to kind of unblend from it. And it's been really fun when I'm working to kind of unblend from my helper part, because then I can actually focus on um, helping the person I'm helping to engage with their parts and let their parts guide them about what they need, and not me, having my helper part try to help them, if that makes any sense. So um and so that has been a very good eye opener for me, and checking in with this part. In fact, Mark is gonna be jealous of this, but Richard Swartz helped me with this part when I worked with him. He worked with me with this part, and it was really interesting to get to know it, exactly why it comes in and tries to help, so it's a very powerful model, this one. Anyone else wants to share their experience?
Hi, everyone. May I?
Yes.
Okay. My experience during that moment, I fell asleep.
Wow.
You
I was
have the
sleeping.
sleeping. Yeah.
I was sleeping, and then maybe some of you saw me. During that sleep, I was with different groups of people. Others we were laughing, and then others we were dancing. Then until Palesa said that, okay, now it's time for us to get back. And then I woke up from my sleep.
Wow. Actually, we do have parts that help us, that make us sleep as well. So yeah, that will be interesting to work with that part, Nono.
Okay,
Tell you
Vanessa.
that. Yeah, because it's not the first time it has showed up.
Mhm. Yeah, it's for the, I think it's the second or third time. I always go with it.
Yeah. Sometimes pots do that too. That might, it's a pot that really doesn't it shows up whenever you try to focus inside and kind of takes you out.
I did.
Yeah.
Plus, I forgot to share something that, remember when I raised a question about, is every part is helpful? Good intentions. That's what I raised a question about. And I forgot that my procrastinator showed me two examples of recent examples where not having taken action actually was a good thing, because something else happened that I could not have predicted that helped in the matter. So the two fairly recent examples, one on something rather trivial, but still, it fit the thing. So that was interesting to me, showing me the fact that yes, all the parts do have a good intention, regardless.
Yeah.
In other words, I was rewarded for not having acted in a sense, really.
Yeah, definitely. Anyone else? I don't want to leave anyone out. Anyone else who maybe has a part that is hesitating for them to share? Ntabi saying?
Surely that's in tab.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I
I
want to hear your
know.
voice.
I know. Palasa, the thing is, I'm alone with the child, so she's crying. I'm so
Okay.
sorry. I want to get involved, but she's restless. But yeah, I was explaining to Nonette, I think, and Nancy that um when you started talking, immediately I started crying, Balesa, nonstop. And at the moment, I'm going through so much, so much. And sometimes I don't know if I'm coming or going, you know. But yeah. So today I got to connect with myself, and yeah, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just a bit emotional. I'm just a bit emotional, but yeah, I'm glad that I attended today. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, we can hold space for that. It's thanks for sharing, Tavi.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for staying the course and staying with that, and finding ways to fill your cup. I actually have this metaphor that I like, which is, about the filling of the cup. And sometimes, in moments where you are pouring and pouring, we've all experienced this, you cannot pour from an empty cup. It can be a frustrating experience to try to pour from an empty cup, because nothing will come out of it. So it is very useful to identify the things that will help you to refill, refill your cup. So yeah, hopefully we've had fun today. I I actually, I'm doing this as a fundraiser for our mission trip. We are going to Rwanda. I am a member of, I would say, Methodism movement. A Methodism movement, which means that, in Methodism, we believe in the fact that we are nothing without extending ourselves to be resourceful to others as well. And so I went to Rwanda in 2016, and I was touched. And I'm sorry to say, but my love for Rwanda is a little more than my love for South Africa sometimes. Yeah, I'm saying this because South Africans are here. They will be surprised by this. But yeah,
We'll say a part of you, Palessa.
part of me, yeah, definitely. And so I went there in 2016, and I followed up by staying in touch with the orphanage over there, and right now as a member of my church, together with the youth, we have embraced supporting the orphanage in Rwanda. These are youth running a orphanage over there, and we have been able to engage with them from a distance. And so we are so happy to be going back, because some of the teens that I'm going with have been engaged with the orphanage probably since the age of 8 or 9. And now they are like, what, they're almost 15. I think the oldest 15 now. And so they are very excited. I'm going there with 5 of them, and with another adult. And Nonwedo is here. She's also meeting us there to help with this mission. So I'm doing this as a fundraiser. So all donations are welcome. Thank you so much for being here. First for yourself, and also in support of this mission. So I am so grateful that you are able to participate. And anyone have any burning question, any burning issue? Dineo, I know we haven't met, but I am the person who shared in the group.
Okay. No, have any questions? Just a comment that it was very informative. It was very nice, and it's time for us to just be there for ourselves. We are there for everyone, always making sure that everyone is okay, but we need to have time for ourselves. Just connect with the inner thoughts, because when I was doing that, my mind was just wandering a lot, having a lot of things in mind, but we always start somewhere.
Yeah. Thank you.
Palessa, are there any resources that we could go to? I mean, did this Richard write a book or to help us go a little further when we don't have you guiding us?
Yeah, actually, there is a book that I would recommend, especially for people that want to do um, meditations. Richard Swartz, actually, I will share this with everyone in the group on email. He wrote a book that I really love at the moment. I love engaging with this book. I've read it probably like 3 times already, because it's not like a reading book. It's more like a journey that you go through with yourself. The title of the book, if I'm not mistaken, is Greater Than the Sum of Our Parts. And so I like it in audio. I have it in audio. He does actually do practical meditations. It's really a group of meditations, and he takes you through sort of, engaging with parts of you from the beginning. And and so it's really become a good practice for me to be able to do that. And, and also being very forgiving towards yourself, even if you are having moments where you cannot be self-aware. But the experience of reflecting back is so powerful because you can actually notice a part that had taken over at that time, and get to know it, and sometimes you feel like you're done meeting your parts and then you meet another one, on a different day, because you were in a different situation. And so I will share that book as a resource. I think it's a good one for starters, for starting out.
I also like Richard's other book, which is There Are No Bad Parts, which I think is also a good introduction. And I'd also recommend the audio version and not the written version, because of the meditations that he leads you through that are very, very important, I think, as part of your work. So I think both books are excellent. But audio version, not, which is very odd that you have someone say to do the audio version, but it's one of the few books that I recommend that people do the audio versions of it.
Thank you both
Yeah.
for everything you've shared today and for helping us along. I think a lot of us got so much out of it. We could mention that two people in our group, now you know who that was, they were a little kind of teary, and we were influenced greatly by the joyous person in our group. So we recognized also how we can help each other, and how when we're dealing with other people, we can see their parts, which helps us understand them a little bit better. So it was a very productive morning. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Nancy. All right, thank you so much. I think I will.
Thank you. I've put back host to you, Palesa, so you can close whenever you're ready. And thank you
Okay.
guys all for showing up. Palesa, I've seen many presentations in IFS, and I think this is one of the better ones. And I'm very, very, very thankful that you invited me to actually share in your thoughts and how you view IFS. It was very simply and extremely well done and very useful. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mark.
Thank
I'm trying to stop sharing here, but it's all right, there we go. Found the button. Yeah, thank you, Mark. Thank you for that. That means a lot. So we will engage. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Palesa. Hi,
Thanks,
no.
Lorraine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Bye.
So long.
Bye-bye.